Hey everyone, before we get started with today's show, I wanted to let you know about our Sports Ballers NFL Pick'em League. We'll be using Sleeper as our platform, which allows you to submit and change your picks up until kickoff for each game. Spreads automatically lock on Tuesday, so you'll have plenty of time to mull over each game. Download the Sleeper app and search the Sports Ballers to find our league, or check the show notes for further information. Now, please enjoy the second part of our NFL season preview as we speed run through the AFC. Let's get to it. Episode of the Sports Ballers podcast. My name is Eric. I am joined by Corey and Evan as always. Fellas, how are we doing this evening?
Tired, but otherwise good.
I think we're all kind of in that same boat.
Yeah.
Evan was huffing and puffing.
And a little winded.
Yeah, he's struggling here, but we're trying to make these shows quick, so we're going to get through this in an hour so that we can all get home and go to bed or get food or figure our lives out or whatever. So, as stated in the intro, we are covering the AFC this week. We are going to run through all 16 teams, give you a little idea of what to expect maybe from each of them, and we are going to start in the AFC North with the Baltimore Ravens. Got to start in the A block with the best team and with a guy who is a major Ravens fan, sometimes to his own regret. Evan,
Yes.
first word.
Exhausting.
First word on the Baltimore Ravens. Let's hear it.
I mean, I feel like we're up there with the Eagles as a top team on paper, but the key is executing in critical situations.
Well,
That's really it.
that's
right?
the list, yeah. I mean,
They, you know,
I think you could say that about literally all 32 teams. Now,
I can't say that about
some
Cleveland
teams are not
or New
the
built.
New Orleans Saints.
I cannot say it.
You know,
Not
Some
going
teams
to.
are not
Would ask.
built to be successful in their execution, but that is the name of the game in the NFL.
well, now we're being pedantic. Let's just talk about the Ravens specifically and the talent that they have.
Yeah, there's so much of it, right?
yeah, there's plenty of it.
like
two-time
Cooper
MVP,
Rush.
and him. He's there doing something.
exists.
Hopefully, he never has to
Yeah,
play.
if he
How
has to
about
come
that?
in, it's over. So,
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, Corey, tell me something about the Ravens specifically that intrigues you about them.
I want to see what the wide receiver core does this year. I feel like the Ravens have been waiting for Lamar Jackson to actually have like a really strong receiving core for him to be able to not have to run the ball as much as he does. Because eventually, if he keeps running like this, like he's going to get hurt. He's going to become more injury prone, and it's going to shorten his career. At some point, he's going to have to be able to stand in the pocket and throw the ball a higher percentage of the time. Not that he's not very successful when he does that, but that has to at some point become a bigger part of their game as a team. And at this point, with Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman going into, I think their third and fifth years or something like that on this team, like
Yes.
that's the kind of consistency that you want to see level up on offense.
DeAndre Hopkins is here now.
Right, DeAndre Hopkins has joined the fold, and so I think that gives them a strong third receiver. He's obviously a little bit older, but still, you know, he still looked okay last year, just was on a bad team.
He catches the ball.
He does do that. And then Derrick Henry, I mean, the dude just, Father Time does not, like, he hasn't
have to
checked
catch
out.
up
I don't
to
know
him.
how. He hasn't caught up to him at all. So
Father Time's making a business decision.
is this going to be the year that Derrick Henry finally becomes human?
We've
Or
been
is
saying
he
that for
going to
7
stay
years.
the king?
Right? Like,
Literally, no. Like,
Well, to quote everybody's favorite local series in Baltimore, the King stay the king. He's not going anywhere. So, yeah, I like the receiving core. I like the tight ends, obviously. The return of Mark Andrews, who consistently has been valuable in the regular season, and Isaiah Likely has emerged as a guy who could probably be a tight end one on most teams as well. I'm not as worried about the receivers helping Lamar stay less of a runner or something like that, because I feel like we kind of saw Lamar almost master the quarterback position last year. He was decisively the best player in football during the regular season, And I expect to see basically more of that as Todd Monken and this offense continues to become part of his DNA more so than the Greg Roman situation that the Ravens toiled with for 3 extra years too many. But I think the offense is going to be fine. Again, the concern for the defense is pass rush. Has been for years.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think the Ravens defense top to bottom is excellent. I think the fact that Evan's going to absolutely back me up when I say this, the loss of Marcus Williams is a massive addition by subtraction there. And being replaced with Malachi Starks, who they drafted in the first round, who I think is going to have a great rookie year. So
apparently, Mike Green, the outside linebacker, is incredible.
Yeah, the linebacking core looks great too.
So
again, it's just edge rush that has me. And again, they don't need it, but it feels like it's something that, and we talk about in the playoffs all the time, the Ravens don't generate turnovers. Well, the best way to generate turnovers is by getting pressure on the quarterback.
So I don't know how much you've been watching the preseason, but the Ravens did draft an edge rusher in the second round, Mike Green out of Marshall. So have you seen any of his film?
Mentioned him.
Oh, sorry.
I literally just mentioned him.
Moving on.
He's amazing.
So the answer is yes, and he's incredible. Evan just mentioned him.
Okay.
But we'll see in a couple weeks, right?
No more Nelson Aguilar.
No more Nelson Aguilar. Yeah.
Bummer.
Unlike Aguilar.
Yeah.
Somebody will pick him up somewhere, right?
Probably. Apparently, Jadeveon Clowney is, hanging around or something. He may or may not be available.
I mean, okay. That's great.
Let's
move to second place in this division last year, which was the Pittsburgh Steelers. This team is hilarious. Yes, the fact that I said that surprised Evan that the Steelers finished in second place in the division, but that's
let's
true.
see. The Steelers made the playoffs and the Bengals did not.
So that would require them to have finished ahead of the Bengals.
Yeah.
And the Browns.
They played the Ravens in the playoffs.
Yeah, and it went as predicted.
Ask Minka Fitzpatrick's face.
Aaron Rodgers, DK Metcalf, Ben Skoranek.
Okay.
I don't know who that is.
Well, he was at the Rams, but anyway.
That white guy who was not Cooper Kupp.
Yes, the guy that everybody thought was because he changed his number and also...
He was wearing 18.
Yes, which was Cooper Kupp's number for a long time.
Yeah, until he switched to 10.
Which was not that much different than 18, so...
I am looking forward to watching this Steelers team this year, only because I'm just so curious to see how this experiment is actually going to work out. I think that they could be really good, but I think they're probably going to be pretty mediocre and just go 9-8 again. We know they're not going to have a losing season because Mike Tomlin don't do that.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the defense is aging, though. Like, they brought in, Jalen Ramsey, who's, not as young as he used to be. Cam Hayward's got a big gray beard now. So, those are the guys they're relying on defense. And, Aaron Rodgers is 41. And, if we don't know how successful his latest darkness retreat has been.
You forgot 34-year-old Darius Slay.
Oh.
He's a Steeler now.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, this is the best defense that money can buy, right? This is just shelling out for veterans, future Hall of Famers. They paid T.J. Watt a boatload of money. And that's sort of where my questions are about this team. Is I don't think the Steelers have a particularly high ceiling just because I don't trust Aaron Rodgers at his age and at his temperament to be a team leader and a good quarterback all at the same time. But the defense is going to keep them in games and is going to win them games theoretically. My concern is we saw at the end of last year T.J. Watt was literally invisible. Well, not literally, but he was not really a factor on the stat sheet. He didn't get any sacks. He didn't tackle anybody. For 5 straight weeks, he had no stats. Literally no stats. He was basically non-existent out there. And if they just paid that dude a bunch of money and he replicates that type of performance, this team's going to suck. And Tomlin's going to get fired. And Rodgers is going to retire, and it's going to be a disaster. So the defense, I think, is going to lead the way to determine whether or not they achieve that spectacular 9-8 or 10-7 and get blown out in the wild card round thing. But let's face it, Mike Tomlin is unfireable, but Aaron Rodgers is the king of getting coaches fired.
I was just going to say, it'd be really sad if, this is the thing that...
I predicted this when they started announcing that Aaron Rodgers might go to the Steelers. I'm like, holy crap, he's going to be the guy that gets Mike Tomlin fired. It's going to happen, so keep your eye on that.
Because I love me some Mike Tomlin.
Well, I would be sad, but at the same time, Mike Tomlin's very employable. He'll get another job,
Yeah, there's a bunch of jabronis that were jabroni coaches we're going to talk about today who's might not have a job by the end of the season.
Well, there's always those. Every year we lose like 7 or 8 of them, so can't wait to see it.
The only coach we know for sure is going to be fired is whoever Eric picks as his coach of the year.
Yes, that guy.
I have been on a little bit of a losing streak with that the last couple of years. So
yes, some people have been spared from your wrath.
My wrath is the coach killer. Not quite as powerful as it used to be. So I have to get my game up this year.
Yes.
I don't.
What's
I haven't
Freddie
actually,
Kitchens up to?
I haven't even thought about who I'm picking for that yet. So I'm gonna have to, really make this. I'm gonna have to cook here. It's a bounce back year for the Sports Ballers podcast. All right, let's move on to the Bengals, who finished in 3rd last year, despite Joe Burrow playing out of his mind for much of the season and Jamar Chase being Jamar Chase.
The fact that Burrow and Chase put up the kind of stats they did after such a horrendous start, because every year they start so slow on offense for the first 2 or 3 weeks. They were 0-3 last year.
They lost to the Patriots in week
1.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I believe I had that as well.
Well, I think you had him covering. You didn't have
like to the point that those guys actually played some reps in preseason games this year.
Yeah.
Like
Joe Burrow was out there like week 1 of the preseason. I'm like, oh, well,
that's
so
how
they're taking it
desperate they
serious.
are
Yeah.
to actually perform in the early season.
Is he playing defense?
If they had won that Patriots game, they're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the Chiefs game that they lost, while the defense was horrific most of the year, it was good in that game.
Yeah.
Like they lost that game because the offense was out of sync.
Yep.
So, they need to be ready to click on all cylinders, especially in that division. But overall, the reason why they were not a playoff team last year was their defense. And I don't really see that trend changing. I don't see improvement here. I know they just paid Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah, but that doesn't change anything. He was already
the
on the
bare
team.
minimum
Right.
to maintain what you had, which was already not good.
Exactly.
So
They brought in Al Golden as the defensive coordinator.
I felt like the firing of their previous defensive coordinator was a scapegoat.
Yeah.
They just didn't invest in their defense.
I mean, I'll give them credit. They did draft 2 defensive players in the first 2 rounds. They got Shamar Stewart and they got Demetrius Knight out of South Carolina. So they tried to address the defense in some way, but these are young guys, and young guys on the defensive side tend to not be immediate edge rushers, and defensive linemen sometimes have a bigger impact, but linebackers and defensive backs tend not to have as much of an impact immediately as rookies. So Shamar Stewart might make a difference, but they're going to have to really get some good pass rush for the backside of the defense to actually be able to stop any sort of bleeding, because the offense is still going to be awesome, but it hasn't changed much either, and there's only so much you can grow. They paid all this money to Jamar Chase, paid a lot of money to T. Higgins. This is a very expensive offense.
Yeah. I mean, I think the most telling thing, at least to me from my point of view, is the Bengals 2 games against the Ravens. They scored 38 and 34 points and lost both.
Well, part of that is their defense is obviously really bad, and the other part is they were playing a team, one of the few teams that has a better quarterback than Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson. So that's makes life a little more difficult.
You shouldn't score that many points and lose. That's
sure, but when it's if you fight fire with fire, sometimes fire
you're going to get
fire.
burnt.
Yeah, exactly. So, and that's what happened with the Bengals. They got cooked all
Yes,
year.
they did.
But I still think that they've got a shot at being a playoff team.
I agree.
Even with their it's always going to be a tough schedule when you're playing in a division like the AFC North. They got 2 games against a good Steelers defense, presumably, and of course the Ravens look like an elite team.
But the rest of their schedule is a 3rd place schedule.
Yeah,
so it does give them
it's
a little bit
manageable.
of
It's not as rough as you would think just being in that division, but it's still not.
And if them playing in the preseason allows them to hit the ground running in the regular season, we're not going to see the same 0-3, 1-2 starts that we've come to expect from Joe Burrow and Zach Taylor. They'll win at least 2 of their first 3 games most likely, and they'll be ahead of the game, ahead of the sticks in the playoff hunt, so to speak.
Their first 3 games are at Cleveland, home against Jacksonville, and then at Minnesota. So, yeah, you better win those first 2.
Yeah.
Because those 2 are juicy, easy wins, and then Minnesota's a tougher game. So,
potentially.
They got to start.
We still don't know exactly what Minnesota's going to be, and they're going to be without Jordan Addison for that 3rd week.
Sure, but
yeah.
still, you got to beat Cleveland and Jacksonville the first 2 weeks. There's no excuses. All right, so
speaking of Cleveland,
say something nice about the Browns, Evan. It's really hard, I know.
Okay, well,
Well, there's
Corey,
the
how
list.
about you try?
Yeah,
They've got Super Bowl champion Joe Flacco as their quarterback
that's
right now.
true. And they have Myles Garrett.
They do.
There's not a whole lot of interest in this team. Like, honestly, the only interest this team had was in the preseason just because of Shedeur Sanders. And Shedeur has shown himself, in my opinion, to be a third-stringer backup style quarterback at the moment right now. So you're not going to see
some
him.
of the same concerns that people raised about him in college that were legitimate at the time and are now. He holds the ball too long.
Some of us stayed up late and watched those games.
Like,
So,
you know,
Some of us got home from Hershey Park in the middle of the night and watched those games.
yeah.
like we talked about back in the day when he was with the Texans, Deshaun Watson holding the ball too long. Like Shedeur Sanders is that on steroids.
Well,
Yeah,
he's
and
here too.
And Shedeur is also a lot smaller and a lot less athletic than Deshaun was. And, we also know what Deshaun Watson's career turned out to be, which doesn't really have anything to do with his specific performance. It was his off-the-field stuff that seemingly derailed him. But he's also on the roster. So,
That's true.
Nominally.
yeah. Yes, he is.
Yep.
All right, so that's enough of the AFC North. Let's head back east. First place division winner last year, as has been for, I think, 5 straight years.
At least,
The
yeah.
Buffalo
Yeah.
Bills. They're 5-time division winner. Josh Allen, MVP. Make-A-Wish
new
MVP.
6-year deal.
Yeah, but,
$330 million, 250 of it guaranteed.
Good for him.
good for him. He deserves
Yeah.
it. He's great.
He was a 0-star recruit out of high school.
I thought he was going to be an absolute bust after that.
He was
draft.
looking Sam Darnold-y. Like the two of them were just like big white guys who could chuck it really far. But then like
watching
Yeah.
watching Hard Knocks this year because they're covering the Buffalo Bills for the training camp edition. Like, I was shocked when I realized he's going into year 8.
Yeah. Yeah, as is Baker and Lamar and
He
that whole draft
entered the
class.
NFL around the same time that we were starting our podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That we know because we were there. We were covering this crap, and yeah, Allen kind of. I think what salvaged his early career was the fact that the Bills leaned into the fact that he can run the ball, whereas Darnold
That
didn't
and
have
they
that
had
ability.
such a good defense
Yeah.
that he didn't have to be heroic on offense, and they
He
could.
wasn't close to that. He was
No,
horrible. yeah.
but they could be a little bit more creative with how they schemed him into their game plan, and they could, as you said, lean into his running ability.
yeah, the run
Like
threat,
a lot of
yeah.
other quarterbacks who are talented runners but not very good throwers earlier in their career, like guys like Daniel Jones, they didn't have teams around them that could even give him the opportunity to be successful. But to Josh Allen's credit, he's also really improved his passing. Like
He rebuilt his mechanics a
He
few
is
years ago.
legitimately a pinpoint passer at this point in his career, and coming out of that draft, I could not have imagined ever saying that about him.
It's the
agree.
biggest jump I've seen from a quarterback, not coming off of a rookie year, right? This is year 2 to year 3 was when he took that major leap from being a subpar quarterback to being one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league.
And it was a
he's-
very sudden jump.
And he's stayed there for the last 5 years. So
No, he's been incredible. Love me some Josh Allen. I think this is going to be a very interesting team. I think they did a pretty good job in the draft. They got Maxwell Harrison at cornerback in the first round. He's been banged up in the preseason, but a lot of people look at him as like a young Tre'Davious White. And they got Trey White back this year too, who presumably is healthy now, coming off of an injury-riddled 2024 season. So I'm excited to see what they look like on the back end of the defense. The offense is going to be interesting. They got Josh Palmer in there, so they added another solid wide receiver.
That guy from the Chargers
Yep.
who didn't do anything.
He's an interesting guy because
He's replacing Gabe Davis who didn't do anything.
a lot of the Chargers receivers don't do a lot, but they're still talented. Like, we've seen that before from most Chargers receivers other than Keenan Allen for the past 10 years. And now obviously Ladd McConkey had a pretty good rookie season, but you look at a guy like
Mike Williams.
Yeah, Mike Williams.
Quentin Johnston.
Actually a really good wide receiver, but it didn't seem to really work
pop.
in San Diego with that offense.
Or in L.A.
Or in LA.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, so the Bills' concern.
What year is it?
So the Bills' concern overall, when talking playoffs, is obviously can they play something other than their worst defensive game against the Kansas City Chiefs? Because they play the Chiefs well in the regular season every year.
Yeah.
The Chiefs have not been particularly good offensively for the last couple of years, and yet every year the Chiefs get to play their best offensive game against a supposed defensive guru in Sean McDermott and against a team that has invested a lot into their defensive personnel.
They built their team to beat the Chiefs in the playoffs, and they can't do it.
And the Chiefs are the only
they clearly
team
built it to beat the Chiefs in the regular season.
Yeah, and the Chiefs only have their best games every year against the Bills.
Yeah.
It's consistent across the board. Like, even back in 2021, the 13 seconds game, the Chiefs' offense was not that good that year.
No.
But they did that game against the Bills last year. Against the Bills, even though they weren't really doing a whole lot on offense. So, can you figure that out? And also, safety. Like, they had Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer for years as their safety duo. It was excellent. Those guys are gone.
Yep.
I'm not as sold on their personnel in the defensive backfield anymore.
Yeah.
This is also the last year at formerly Ralph Wilson Stadium. They're moving across the street to the new building.
Alrighty. Well, now I have to rack my brain to remember who finished in second place in this division. I'm pretty sure it was the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, I think so, because the Patriots did not make the playoffs, and the Dolphins were like tied with the Bengals at the end of the season.
And we know the Jets. We know the Jets weren't even in the conversation. Like, they fired their coach and got worse. So, all right, let's talk about the Finns, the fish, as some stupidly call them, because dolphins are mammals. Tua Tagovailoa, presumably healthy for now.
He's
right.
He's always been healthy except for his concussions. Like that's the thing that seems to hurt him.
Aside,
So
aside
he
from
keeps
the brain,
injuring the organ that controls the rest of his body. Other than that, he's doing great.
He's doing all right.
but yeah, like as long as he's not concussed, he's healthy.
Okay.
And so that's kind of the bottom line is Tua going to stay healthy, and part of that is obviously their offensive line play, but more of it is Tua.
Yeah.
Because he injures himself. He does the dumbest stuff on the field. Like, he's out here trying to lay shoulders into people or taking headfirst dives on the goal line. I'm like, you're not that guy. You need to hang back and not injure yourself. But also, the team's flawed. Like, it's not just, can the quarterback stay healthy? Their offensive line's not good. The defense has been kind of mediocre the last couple of years.
Is Tyreek Hill motivated and healthy?
Yeah, there's that conversation.
Right,
Like he's capable of having 1,900 yards, but
I don't know what
is he
to make
mentally
of
in
Tyreek
it?
Hill right now, because he comes back and he's all, he seems very apologetic over the outburst he had at the end of last season, where he's like, he basically announced that he wanted out of Miami, and then he's like coming back with his tail tucked between his legs. But the team, it doesn't feel like they've
want him?
been super receptive and like all is forgiven.
Well, the quarterback came out and said, yeah, we're still mad at him. I'm like, well, that's not what I want to hear. So
That's not what quarterbacks say publicly.
And even if Tyreek Hill is actually contrite about what happened at the end of last year, does that seep in and potentially mess with him? Is Jalen Waddle ever actually going to be what he looked like he could be after his sophomore year? Because he had a solid rookie year and a great sophomore year, and has been just disappeared since then.
Well, and we also have to be honest about Tyreek Hill. He's not a young player anymore.
No.
And he's a smaller receiver that relied on his speed to become a Hall of Fame caliber player. How much longer can he be a difference maker when that's his primary attribute, is his speed? Yeah. So he might be declining as well. And I think that with all the money they paid him and with how important speed is for this offense, I have questions about the viability long term. And I think we all kind of like Mike McDaniel, but he's getting to a point where maybe he's on his last legs.
That's my first note. Is this the end for Mike McDaniel?
So hopefully not. Hopefully they can have a nice year and keep him around, because I think, again, like I said, I think we all like the guy. I think he's a good offensive mind, and I think he's a fun coach. But it's just at certain points you run your course anywhere, no matter how good or bad you are. It's like you just enough's enough. It's time to move on.
Yeah, they brought Minkah Fitzpatrick.
They did. Yep, I was just about to bring up Minkah Fitzpatrick. He's 28 years old, so still pretty young in the prime of his career. So like that's a solid addition to the defense.
Sure.
But
I've also watched Minkah Fitzpatrick.
10 other guys.
Watch people go bye as they run right by him. So.
But then you also, on the other side of the ball, have the subtraction by addition with Darren Waller.
Oh yeah, Evan's boy.
Mm-hmm.
Twice over, Georgia Tech and former Raven.
Yeah.
Tough sledding.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's good.
I don't think he's good either. I think he's not right in the head for a lot of reasons. Namely, he's had concussions, and number two, that awful rap song. He just
yikes. Not his addiction
Don't
problem.
forget Leaving Kelsey Plum.
Well, Well, not only leaving, cheating on her, and
Yeah.
then writing a
Yeah,
terrible
yes.
rap song about it, and then saying, "Oh crap, I got to play football again because I need to make more money."
Oh,
All right, let's move on to the New England Patriots, who I think the Patriots might have finished behind the Jets, but let's just go with them. I don't care. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
I'm more interested in the Patriots than the Jets.
Absolutely.
Are this year.
I mean, they bring in Mike Vrabel, who I thought they should have hired last year in the first place.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I was okay with them, giving a try with Gerard Mayo, but that turned out to be an absolute disaster. He
It's
lost
not
the
like he
locker
was
room
new
so
there.
No, but
Right?
he lost the locker room so
Shocking.
quickly because he threw all of his players under the bus.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
You don't do that as a coach. Like, you watch Dan Campbell, he does whatever the opposite of throwing his players under the bus is. Like, he'll throw himself under the bus first
Oh, yeah.
every game, even if it's
Absolutely.
very clear that it was bad execution by the players. Gerard Mayo is just like, oh yeah, this guy was terrible,
This
and that
guy
guy's not
sucks.
trying.
He
and,
sucks. He
Like,
sucks.
you
They're
can't
soft.
do that.
You
So,
suck.
Yeah,
so I
soft.
love
Exactly.
I love them getting Mike Vrabel. I think it was, this is not a Mike McCarthy situation where he gets a year off and I'm like, oh, he's probably like all refreshed and he's gonna be just fine. Like, I was not moved by the Cowboys getting Mike McCarthy when they hired him. I like this for the Patriots. I think Mike Vrabel getting a year off to just kind of observe the league. He was already a good coach. I think he might be an even better coach now, having had the opportunity to do that.
I don't know
And
what
then
the
they
Titans are doing getting rid of him, to be honest.
I don't either.
They
And
kept
then they
the
also
GM who
brought
screwed
in.
him over.
Oh,
He gets
okay.
insane.
I'll be interested to see how it works out with Josh McDaniels because he's been a really good offensive coordinator. He just can't be a head coach. So maybe that's also going to be really good for this offense.
I mean, I would
Probably.
definitely take Josh McDaniels as an offensive coordinator any day of the week. But yeah, it was funny talking about Gerard Mayo. He was the handpicked successor for Bill Belichick, and then Bill Belichick's on the Manning cast, just basically having to crap on Gerard Mayo for throwing the players under the bus. He's like, well, I was coaching them last year. They tackled fine when I was coaching them. And Bill wasn't having it. And I'm just like, if the guy that they fired and then picked you to take his place is throwing you under the bus, you got no friends left at that point. And you've got a former linebacker who is a Patriots Ring of Honor or Hall of Fame or whatever they call it up there member, who has proven himself to be a very, very good coach, is readily available. Yeah, let's switch course here and just jump off of Gerard Mayo and go pick up Mike Vrabel, which again they should have done in the first place. But fortunately, they got a mulligan because Mayo got fired, and oh by the way, Vrabel didn't get hired last year, so
Right.
he got to skip a coaching cycle, so they got lucky. But yeah, I'm excited to see what Drake May does this year. I think
Yeah,
he
me
showed some
too.
promise
Absolutely.
last year with a terrible situation. He played respectable ball.
I was shocked when I saw that Drake May had the same number of rushing attempts on scrambles as Lamar Jackson. And in those situations, Drake May gained 2 more yards and had the same number of touchdowns as Lamar
2
Jackson.
more yards.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, he's coming to his second year. Stephon Diggs is here, but I
He
don't
is.
think he's going to be too much of an impact player. Just 'cause he tore his ACL in
He
October.
did, but he was running very well 2 months ago. So now going into the season, he might actually be pretty healthy.
He's
I
at
don't
least
know.
better than the guys they had.
Oh,
which
absolutely.
I think that
who I can't
matters.
even name.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
N'Keal Harry's gone. So
He hasn't
Like the
been
next
there
best
in a
the
long
next
time.
best wide receiver on their team is
Jacoby
probably the is Jacoby Myers?
No,
Was
he's
that
long
right? I
gone.
thought he was with the
He's-
Raiders.
They've got
Demario
Kendrill,
Douglas,
Demario
right?
Douglas,
Tompkins.
Kyle
Yeah.
T. Williams.
So they have Demario
Yeah.
Douglas, and then they also signed Mac Hollins this offseason.
I've got a
So-
list of names here.
No,
The
it's
only
it's
one that's
it's
right
Diggs
now.
and Douglas. Diggs
Yeah.
and Douglas are the 2 guys, and Demario Douglas is actually a pretty good wide receiver. He's very underrated. They also drafted Travion Henderson, who I think is going to be pretty solid along.
Yeah, he's kind of taking the lead in that backfield too.
I think
I do
rightfully
agree with
so.
that.
I think he's going to be really good this year. So they had just a boatload of draft picks. I think they drafted 9 or 10 rookies this year. So hopefully a few of them pan out, including Henderson. So I'm excited to see what this Patriots team does. I think a lot of it. I think the offense is definitely going to level up this year. And a lot of their success is going to come down to what does their defense do. And hopefully it's going to be good because they hired a defensive head coach.
And I think their defensive personnel is a lot better too. So
I think so.
I expect some decent things from their defense. This is the sexy team in the NFL for the glow up year, where they kind of go from really crummy team to possible playoff team all in one fell swoop. They've got an easy schedule. They've got improved personnel, improved coaching, and a second-year quarterback who we think can take the leap. So I'm very curious about this team. which is why we went to them before we went to the New York Jets, who I am about as uncurious about. Incurious? What would the right word be there be?
Indifferent?
I'll go with indifferent too. I don't care about this Jets team. Like, this team's going to suck. I feel bad for your boy Aaron Glenn.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not a great situation.
No, it's not.
Like, he inherits a non-quarterback situation. They've got Justin Fields, who I think we've kind of given up on him.
Yeah.
He's been in the league for 4 or 5
years
years now.
I like Justin Fields. I don't think that he's ever going to quite figure it out to be a legitimate starting quarterback in this league.
Because he got what I thought was a golden opportunity with the Steelers last year when, like, Russell Wilson was injured. I feel like
but here's
if Justin Fields had what he needed to have to be great in this league, it would have shown up then, and we didn't see it then. So
yes and no.
Where is it?
So
we're not going to see it on the Jets.
In a sense, yes, he had that opportunity, but at the same time, they didn't have a really good wide receiver core like they had in Chicago. Like, they had some. Well, actually, they didn't really have that many good. They only had DJ Moore. Now that I think about it, so well,
DJ Moore's a good
I think
player.
he's fine, but they didn't have Keenan Allen at the time. They hadn't drafted Rome Odunze obviously at the time. So no, I'm like it's yet another situation where he didn't have a lot of good wide receivers, and they were winning games with him as the starter, and then they still decided to go to Russell Wilson when he got healthy. So was that really the opportunity that was given to Justin Fields? I'm going to be curious to see, can he actually develop some chemistry on the field with Garrett Wilson this year? Because now he has a legitimate guy who's supposed to be a bona fide wide receiver one. He was the rookie of the year a few years ago, and he was actually pretty good last year with Aaron Rodgers too. Like, it gets forgotten because the Jets were so bad, but Garrett Wilson had a good year last year.
Yeah.
So this I think is going to be the opportunity for Justin Fields, and if he can't prove it early, then it's over.
Quarterbacks drive every decision made by NFL teams. It's not up to you to get the special coach or the special personnel. You've got to prove it yourself, because there's no such thing as a team that has a good situation available for you except for quarterback, because guess what? They just get a good quarterback then. If it's a rare situation where the quarterback retires, let's go get the guy we know can play. We're not going to draft some guy as a project.
Yeah.
You have to be able to prove it wherever you go.
Yep.
And while I'm not going to pretend like the Steelers was a golden opportunity. They haven't been able to figure out offense since Roethlisberger retired. Even before that, they couldn't move the ball. But I'm not going to pretend like, it's been 5 years and, Justin Fields, it's just he hasn't had the right opportunity. Like, sitting here like Josh Rosen or something like that, pretending like he just never got a fair shot. No, he sucks. And Justin Fields sucks.
Yep.
He has to prove it. He has to prove it. It's not up to the people around him to make it work. It's up to him now. All right. That's enough about the Jets. Because Lord knows that was too much time already. Let's move to the AFC South, which is just a hilarious division every year. And I guess we'll talk about the one team that is kind of good there, the Houston Texans, coming off of their second straight playoff appearance, second straight season with a playoff win, by the way, after they beat the Cleveland Browns in 2023, and they beat the San Diego LA Chargers last year.
They've been in LA for, 9 years now?
It's not that long, but it's long enough. But we still
San
don't
Diego
care.
should have a team.
And they should have the Chargers. Yes. The LA didn't want the Chargers, and yet they got them.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's talk about the Texans. C.J. Stroud heading into year 3 kind of had a little bit of a sophomore. Call it a slump would be a little harsh, but a little bit of a regression.
What I described it as.
So he wasn't as good. Their defense looks pretty good to me, but
great.
DeMeco Ryans, I think we all really like him as him heading into his 3rd year as a head coach.
Mm-hmm.
I still think this is the best team in this division, but that's not much of a bar
It
to clear.
should
I don't
be.
think that's a debate.
It certainly should be.
Yeah, it's pretty clear to me. Like, what do the other 3 teams have to offer that would even suggest they could be?
Well, we'll
the best
talk
team in
about
this
whether or not
division?
there
'Cause,
is
it's
anything
not-
to offer when we get to them. But let's talk about the Texans for now.
I think one of my biggest concerns is, if C.J. Stroud is going to bounce back to at least where he was as a rookie, if not actually getting better, which is what you want to see over time in the NFL's progression, they're going to have to figure out their run game, because right now Joe Mixon is hurt, and some of the more recent news almost makes it feel like he might not play this year. I don't think it's quite that dire, but they're not seeming to put a timetable on when he's going to be back. And at that point, you're falling to Nick Chubb, who had a catastrophic injury a couple years ago and was not particularly good last year because of that, and ended up getting hurt again. Damian Harris, who has been decent in the past. He had one really good season with the Patriots, but other than that, he's not really a difference maker. And then a rookie running back, Woody Marks, who I think they drafted in like the 6th round or something, or the fourth round. He was a USC guy, and the only reason I even know who he is because he's been brought up on the Fantasy Footballers podcast as somebody to keep an eye on if the situation is dire in their running back room. He may just get the opportunity
more than this one.
I like their podcast. I think they do a really good job.
You would uproot your whole family to go work for them in a minute.
I don't know about that.
Yes, you would. I know you would.
If the money was right, maybe.
Yes, you would. Exactly. Like, we're going to Arizona tonight.
I could do with a dry heat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The giant spiders and scorpions.
Yeah.
I think you're thinking of Australia.
They got some wild stuff out there in the Southwest, too, though. Like, let's be for real.
Stay in the city.
The city's in the desert, though.
Yeah.
It's like the sand is in the town, too. Like, it's everywhere, dude.
Anyway, they got your boy, Eric, CJGJ.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Well, I love CJGJ. Everywhere he goes, they go to the playoffs, so that's promising.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, I'm excited about this offense. Nico Collins is a bona fide stud, but it's more about their defense, I think, and also can they just take the leaping hang with teams like the Ravens and the Bills and the Chiefs? This is sort of the problem. It's easy to get complacent when you just have a cakewalk to win your division, and you draw some wild card team that's with a complete meltdown artist in Justin Herbert or the ancient remnants of Joe Flacco. And you just get an easy win there. It's like, hey, we're winning playoff games, but yeah, then you go play the Chiefs and you're done.
Yeah.
Right, so
and to add to that, as far as the wide receiver room, obviously Tank Dell may or may not play this year because of how late that injury came last season.
I'm managing my expectations.
Right, but as you said, Nico Collins is a stud. They went out and got Christian Kirk in free agency, and I think Kirk is a solid receiver. And they also spent their first pick of the draft. It was in the 2nd round, but early 2nd, on Jaden Higgins from Iowa State. So they addressed the receiver situation. They also got another Iowa State wide receiver in the 3rd round, Jalen Noel. So they're trying to make sure that their quarterback has weapons around him.
Yep. Let's roll on to. I guess let's do the Colts.
Ooh.
Yeah, let's just get this over with. The Colts quarterback situation has been, for the time being, settled. Daniel Jones will be their starter, which sounds like a disaster in any context. Like, there's no such thing as a good situation where Daniel Jones is your starter.
I think it's an admission that Anthony Richardson sucks and everybody's getting fired.
It's absolutely an admission of that, even though they then try to come out and say, just because he didn't win the job here doesn't mean that his career in Indianapolis is over.
It does mean that, actually.
Everybody's career is over.
Yeah. All of y'all ain't got no job.
If we were in like our normal mode where we're going to have like long form topics, this was going to be one of the ones I would choose. It's like, these idiots, right? Like, Anthony Richardson is not good. And I totally understand why he hasn't earned the opportunity. But you drafted him with the 4th overall pick, understanding that he hasn't played a whole lot of football.
Did you see the Instagram post I sent you earlier that compared Anthony Richardson to Tim Tebow?
Yes, I saw that.
Their stats are so similar. The only problem is that at least Tim Tebow led game-winning drives in the 4th quarter of games. Anthony Richardson hasn't done that. There's no such thing as AR time. So
sounds like a potential problem.
The only thing that is good about Daniel Jones winning this job is that it might actually keep some of the offensive players relevant for fantasy football. It does nothing for the actual football team.
For reality football.
But the thing is, I just don't understand the process here for Chris Ballard or Shane Steichen to move on from Anthony Richardson. It's like, you are admitting you have 100% unequivocally failed at your one job, which is to develop this guy. Like, this is like, Steichen wasn't hired after Richardson was drafted. They were hired. They came in together, which means that Steichen signed off on this. He's an offensive guy coming from the Eagles. They draft Anthony Richardson to be their new franchise quarterback, and you're quitting on him after 2 years when you knew this guy was a project.
And 2 years where really he's only played like a year and a half worth of
It's like
games, or like a
17 starts?
year.
Yeah.
Basically a season, because he lost most of his rookie year to the concussion, and then got benched for a while last year. I think he might have gotten hurt too.
Yeah, like I feel like you have to run him out there, for better or for worse. Your season is over if you have Daniel Jones as your starter. You can't do anything relevant with him playing football. So why are you doing this?
Anthony Richardson wasn't even good at Florida. Like, he was
Right,
just
yeah.
kind of a mess.
And this is my point: is that you clearly drafted the guy purely on potential. You had to expect that this is going to be rough, especially when he's been hurt. You can't give up on him after 2 years. You shouldn't have drafted him in the first place, but now that you have, you can't give up on him. That says that you failed your job and you need to be fired too.
So, out of all the signings that they had this offseason, not including draft picks, they had 9 of them, 3 of which were re-signings, like were already on the Colts last year.
Right.
So they haven't really made a lot of changes to their roster. This team is going to be very similar to last year. Like, Daniel Jones was probably the biggest signing that they had. And, like, as far as their draft picks, like, they got a C+ by NFL.com. Like, their ranking in the draft was 27th out of 32 teams.
Ooh.
This team just stays so mediocre. Like,
If they didn't draft Peyton Manning, they would have moved again.
yeah. And if they didn't draft Andrew Luck right after that, they probably would have moved again. I mean, you got to be kidding me here.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move to another hopeless situation. The Jacksonville Jaguars.
Ooh.
My goodness.
I thought we already talked about them.
We
wish.
we did. We did. It's called the Indianapolis Colts. It's basically the same situation, except they're actually going to stick with Trevor Lawrence, which, I guess you got to do that when Nick Mullins is the backup. But Trevor Lawrence has got to be one of the most disappointing number 1 picks in, like, at least the last 10 years. He's been so
He was
underwhelming.
actually supposed to be really good coming out of college. Like,
He
this, like,
was.
Yes.
and there have been quarterbacks since him and like shortly before him who should have been a lot worse and have turned out to be a lot better. Like, he's not good.
The only thing he's got going for him is he might still be the best quarterback in his draft class because the rest of them were horrible. Zach
the other
Wilson,
guys?
Trey Lance, Justin Fields, and Mac Jones. He's the
Trey
only
Lan-
one that
hey,
still has a starting
Trey Lance
job.
started the Hall of Fame game this year.
Yeah, he did. How'd that work out?
Well, they won the
Jeez.
game. They beat
that,
us.
that doesn't matter.
But Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter.
yeah, I like the receivers.
Travis
that's-
Hunter playing both ways. Is that gonna work? Is that gonna first, is it gonna happen? And then is it gonna work?
I don't think it's worth trying to make it happen for this team. Like, why are you going to go out there and do all that just to win 7 games?
Well, they
In
traded
which
up
case,
in the draft
which
to get him.
side should he focus on?
I feel like he's a better defensive back. I like him better defensively than I did as a receiver. Just
I mean,
from my watching tape.
even if you feel like he has a future in the NFL as a receiver, I think I'd rather see him on defense this year, just because until you're with a team or a quarterback who's actually good, like, the last thing you need is to be out there catching hospital balls from Trevor Lawrence on a team that's not going to make the playoffs anyway.
Well, and what's the point, though, of even trying to play receiver if that's the attitude? Because Trevor Lawrence is locked up. He's not going anywhere.
No.
They paid him.
And it's not like Travis Hunter's going to go to any new team in the next 4 years.
They're not going to
Like,
trade him. They traded up to get him, like, with the second pick.
Yep.
So, like, that's not going to work.
Yeah. So, this situation just feels hopeless with this team. So, we can move on to the Titans.
So just a quick question, because I forgot. Who's the Jaguars coach now?
Liam Cohen, who said
Duval.
There you go. All right.
yes, him.
All right. That guy. That's the only notable thing about him, probably.
It is,
for his
actually.
entire life. All right. Tennessee Titans. They were drafting number 1 overall last year. They drafted Cam Ward. And I don't think this team's going to be particularly good this year because they were drafting number 1 overall. Usually you don't see a quick turnaround. And I don't think Cam Ward is a superstar prospect or anything. I think he might be pretty good, but he's going to be a rookie. He's playing for a bad team.
He couldn't beat Georgia Tech.
That's also true.
That's bad.
But neither could Drake May, and we like him.
I mean, Trevor Lawrence lit Georgia Tech up like every time.
Oh, I made money on that.
Yeah.
You remember.
Mm-hmm.
I talked about it on this show.
Mm-hmm.
And put it on my winners when I still did that.
Yeah.
Made a bunch of money. All right. Anything fun to say about the Titans?
I don't have anything else to say about the Titans.
DeMatha alum KJ Winston from Penn State was drafted by them in the 3rd round as a safety.
Shout out.
So shout out to him for sure. But no, I mean, they went and got Tyler Lockett and Van Jefferson this offseason. So
okay.
their wide receiver room is going to be so much better.
So an old Tyler Lockett and a never good Van Jefferson. Okay.
I say that jokingly, but like their receiver room actually will be better than it was last year with the two of them. That's how dire things were.
They had DeAndre Hopkins last year.
And they got your Maryland guy, Chigakonkwo. He's still there.
Yeah, and they still have the guy that they
Calvin Ridley. He's still there.
They traded out what was his name? Is that guy not there anymore? The guy they traded when they traded AJ Brown to the Eagles.
The guy who hunts wild boars with a knife.
I don't even remember his name.
It's not Drake London because he's with the Falcons.
I don't remember his name.
One to Xavier Leggett, but that's not him.
It.
No, he's with the Panthers.
We don't have to dwell on this long.
I think they got rid of him.
Okay, so he's gone, which
the rookie who got injured at the start of the preseason. Or not rookie, but the second year wide receiver, I think.
Sure.
This guy's like 3 years in.
He's out of Arkansas.
Yeah. He was drafted in the first round after they traded AJ Brown on draft day, and everybody's like, "Well, this is perfect because they'll just use him to replace AJ Brown." I'm like,
"Oh yeah, Traylon
why
Burks.
not
just
why not just keep AJ Brown?"
Yeah,
because
Burks got hurt.
And
they waived him like at the start of either training camp or the preseason.
I mean, he could be anything. He could even be a boat. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just ridiculous.
Don't think he's a boat.
It's not a good one. It's one that's sunk. Maybe blow up. Too.
Didn't even replace the bottom of it with a screen door.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to the AFC West to finish this bad boy up. And
maybe the most intriguing division in football this year, just because of the caliber of coaches. Like everybody here has been to a Super Bowl or won a college national championship,
or both.
Or
in
both
the case
in
of
some
the guy
cases.
You just highlighted, and Jim Harbaugh. I mean,
Jim Harbaugh hasn't won a Super Bowl.
But he's been to a Super Bowl.
But he
Pete Carroll's won a Super Bowl.
Yes,
he has.
and
won the national championship.
title. Does that one still count? Did they give that back to him?
Give it back to who?
The USC Trojans. Those wins were vacated.
Yeah.
I mean,
I would hope so because they also gave the Heisman back to Reggie Bush. So hopefully they unvacated the
NCAA has no business existing. So
we saw
why
the
are
game.
we listening to them?
We all watched the games. Damn it!
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the Chiefs.
Ugh.
Travis Kelce. Congratulations.
Yeah.
We're not going to get into that too much.
No.
We know Mahomes is great. We know this offense is going to be at least very good, if not great again. Xavier Worthy coming off of a nice playoff run, I think, even though his biggest play happened after the Gatorade was poured all over Nick Sirianni, so it basically doesn't count. But,
and he's going to have to step up this year because
presumably
at some point Rachaad White is going to be suspended for probably.
Rice.
Sorry, wow. Did I say Rachaad White?
Yes, you did.
Talking about the Buccaneers
running back, yeah.
He's on my mind because of something from the faculty fantasy league from last year.
From the fantasy football.
I was
about to say that,
joke.
and that's definitely true.
Corey's moving to Arizona.
No, apparently one of our football coaches here trained Rachaad White at some point, and so he insisted on them drafting him last year. Obviously, that did not work out because of Bucky Irving. But anyway, Rashee Rice, he's presumably going to be suspended, most likely for 6 games at some point in the season. But they're not going to actually review all of that until they've already played 6 games. So we don't know what's going to happen there. But the assumption is that in the middle of the season, potentially, he may miss a stretch of games and then have to reintegrate himself into the offense. So they're going to need Xavier Worthy to step up, and they're going to need Travis Kelce to play better football than he did last year.
Old.
Is
that something he can do?
Yeah.
No.
Benjamin Button. I don't think that's going to happen.
They got your boy Hollywood Brown.
Oh, Hollywood Brown.
He re-signed.
Okay.
I'll never forget last year during the fantasy football draft when somebody was like, "Oh, I drafted Hollywood Brown." I said, "Hey, Evan, how you feeling about that as a fantasy?" He was like, "Oh no."
Yeah.
Like, oh no. Just immediately, no, who cares? That guy sucks. And he was not. Did he even play last year?
I thought he got hurt in the preseason or something.
Early, and he might have come back right at the end of the year, but he wasn't relevant.
He was a non-factor.
Yes, which is
shocking.
Yeah, that's him. Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt lead the backfield. I don't really think those are particularly remarkable players at this point.
Their defense. I mean, the Chiefs won games on defense.
And that's what worries me about them this year is I think their defense might slip a little bit, which is why I think their offense needs to get back to being that level. And Evan, your boy Matt Nagy is their offensive coordinator, and he can be directly tied to the slip in their offensive performance. Does that surprise you? Just say no, because it shouldn't.
Okay, not really.
Like Eric Bieniemy leaves, and he had a disastrous turn in DC or Raljon or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But
Landover.
yeah, but then Matt Nagy takes over for Bieniemy, and the offense stops being as good. Coincidence? I don't think so. Anyway, the defense still has good personnel, but how long can Chris Jones keep doing this thing for, man? Like, he's been the best defensive player in the playoffs, basically, of this generation.
I think the thing that helps him to continue to be this good is that the rest of the defense is also solid around him, so
Yeah.
he doesn't have to do everything. Like, you can't just double team him on every single play because somebody else is going to break through the line and make a play. So, like, he still gets, 20% or so of his snaps, like he's one-on-one.
Yeah. That's pretty good for a guy of Chris Jones's reputation.
Right.
So.
Like you're not seeing those kinds of numbers for somebody like Aaron Donald.
No, not at all. All right. Well, so the Chiefs' defense, I like the personnel. I still like Nick Bolton as their linebacker, like their best linebacker. They've got Trent McDuffie and Jalen Watson as their corners. I like them too. But yeah, obviously I think this team is still playoff bound. They won the conference, 3 straight years?
And if they can find another lucky rabbit,
I think
then
5 out of
they'll make the
6
Super
years.
Bowl
or
again.
something.
5 out of 6 years they've
It's
played
what
in
they
the Super
do.
Bowl, so they're gonna be right back in it. So let's move on to the Chargers, who are coming off of their first playoff appearance in a minute, and still can't win a playoff game with Justin Herbert, but they keep telling me he's a top 5 quarterback. Not sure I buy it, but anyway, the Chargers personnel has sort of improved, but their offensive line took a hit. Rashawn Slater got injured. He's out for the year, but I still think the unit's pretty good. They still have our guy Joe Alt.
Yep.
He's a beast.
They went out and got Omarion Hampton from North Carolina. They drafted Trey Harris from Mississippi, so they addressed a couple of areas of need on offense because Najee Harris was not going to be it before he had the eye injury with the fireworks.
What are we doing with fireworks, y'all?
Well, what are we still doing with fireworks?
Did y'all not learn your lesson from Jason Pierre-Paul?
I thought that should have been like the most high-profile football player does something dumb over the summer with fireworks. Don't do this, and yet here we are still acting a fool. So
I just love that without Jason Pierre-Paul in the NFL this year, the average number of fingers per hand in the NFL is more than 5 because there's one guy with 6 on one of his hands.
love it, love it. That's incredible. Excellent.
What a stat!
Yeah.
I forget the name of the player, but
So-
it's for real.
This is a no excuses year, though, for Justin Herbert, as far as I'm concerned. The offensive line has been invested in. The receiving core looks very, very good. The tight ends aren't great, but whatever. You don't really need those.
No, but I mean, they got Tyler Conklin, who he's a decent tight end.
He's a guy.
Yeah, he's a guy in an important role who can do some of the dirty work that you really need a tight end to be able to do.
Yeah, but like he's not spectacular.
No.
Unimpressed.
No.
And they have Will Disley.
He had like a moment in Seattle 10 years ago.
And then he
or something.
blew his Achilles and while he was playing for my fantasy team.
Right.
So I remember that. I was getting frustrated. I was like, damn, this is a good pickup. And then suddenly, nope, that's over. So got to find somebody else. All right. This defense still worries me a little bit. I don't love the personnel. I think they've got, as long as Derwin James can stop intentionally trying to murder people on the field, he's obviously
getting
very,
suspended
very good.
and kicked out of games.
Yeah, but the rest of the defensive personnel doesn't move me, and I think that's the weakness for this team.
Yeah, I mean, they still got Khalil Mack. They re-signed him to a fully guaranteed $18 million one-year deal, but he's like 34, 35 now.
He's old.
Yeah.
No. Imagine being 34 years old. Ancient
And then,
history.
and then on top of that, don't
Playing
forget
football.
Mekhi Becton, who signed a big deal this offseason and ended up getting injured.
Yes, that did happen. So, all right, let's move on to another very, very interesting team, the Denver Broncos, who are coming off of a surprisingly effective season with our guy Bo Nix at the quarterback position.
He
was way off on him. I thought he was going to be terrible.
I think that we all, I think some of us forgot to just factor in that some guys just, wanted to stay in college after COVID and get that experience because normally you think, well, if a dude stays in college past 3 years, he's probably not that good.
He was there for 6.
I know, and somehow wasn't
he freshman
but
in
he's not the only
2018?
guy who played in college for 4, 5, 6 years who is.
It's
ended
also
up being
Michael
decent.
Penix, but
Michael Penix,
he was
the jury's
injured.
still kind of out
and he was
on. We don't
injured.
know.
That was a big part of the reason.
I'm very curious to see how Michael Penix does this year, but we kind of talked about that
we
last
did that
week.
last week. Yeah.
Yeah, the Broncos. This is going to be a really interesting team this year. Like the offense, I think, is going to potentially take a step forward. I'm going to be curious to see if J.K. Dobbins can stay healthy because he had a really good start
You're
to the
curious
season
of
last
that?
year.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
he had a really good start to last year and then kind of faded, but he stayed healthy for most of the year. I don't think he got hurt until like maybe the very end of the season, and it wasn't a serious injury. They also drafted a running back, R.J. Harvey, so I think that could end up being a decent 1-2 combo. You know, their wide receiver core is still decent, nothing spectacular, but
They paid Cortland Sutton a bunch of money.
they paid Cortland Sutton a bunch of money. Marvin Mims started to look pretty solid in the second half of last season, so maybe they got something there.
They got your boy Evan Ingram, Evan.
Yeah, I was just about to mention.
Okay.
They went and got Evan Ingram, who was very disappointing last year, but the year before that, he set like a record for receptions for a tight end in a season. Like he can absolutely be a part of the passing game on offense.
I'm not as moved by receptions as
Well, no,
stats
like
that matter, right? Like,
sure, but he can get involved and he can be a good outlet if Bo Nix is in trouble. And then this, I mean, everybody's just touting this defense. Like this could be the best defense in the NFL.
yeah, I think the defense is what's going to carry the day for them.
They have almost no turnover on that side of the ball from last year.
Yeah, I think the question with them is does Sean Payton take the training wheels off Bo Nix? Because I think a big part of the reason why he was as effective last year was because Payton put him in safe situations, knowing that he had to rein him in. Bo was erratic in college. He was, definitely not a guy who played it safe. And so there was a lot of behind the line of scrimmage passes, a lot of easy screens and things like that. But that's not, you can't build a great offense around that. That's a safe offense. And I think that if they want to be a division winner, a potential Super Bowl team, they're going to have to be a bit more dynamic offensively.
I
Yeah,
agree.
like if you look at their departures from last season, the most notable name on that list is Cody Barton, linebacker, and they went and got Dre Greenlaw this offseason.
Yeah.
I think that's an
That sounds
upgrade,
like
if
an
anything.
upgrade, Yeah.
All right, Evan, anything else about the...
Not really.
Okay, so we'll move on to
The Raiders.
the Raiders, who have varying degrees of interest. I think this team's going to be bad.
I do too.
I don't see it. I don't see it at all. I'm
They
sorry.
have to. I mean, they have a. I think they have
See,
a
this is
tough
but
schedule.
this is the
All
thing
right.
though. Like some people like him. Corey likes him.
They bring in Pete Carey.
Antonio Pierce, who got fired after a year. Yeah.
Who I liked after his interim stretch, and then the wheels came off last year.
Sure.
No, I like the hiring of Pete Carroll. I like that he went and got his guy Geno Smith. Like that's a big upgrade at quarterback for them. Chip Kelly I think he's okay as an offensive coordinator. He was obviously not very good as a head coach, but he's going to keep this offense rolling.
Has Chip Kelly earned any type of stripes in the NFL though as an offensive coordinator? Because he was.
Well, no, I'm not saying that he's earned his stripes as an offensive coordinator, but I'm saying like a guy like him, I think, can be successful as an offensive coordinator, even though he was not it as a head coach.
He got replaced by Jim Tom Sula, didn't he?
Dude who farted in his press conference. Yes. And then he got fired immediately. Yeah. All right.
Legend Jim Tom Sula.
I love that guy.
God.
He was like Dan Campbell before Dan Campbell.
Yes.
Except Dan Campbell actually turned out to be the man. So
Max Crosby got paid.
yes, he did. He's
Okay.
the only player on the team that's good.
Mm-hmm. Is Josh
The-
Jacobs
the-
still there?
No, he's
still
the
No,
Packers.
he's with
He's
the
on the-
Packers. Yeah, he was with the
He's
Packers
with
last
the
year.
Packers last year too. He was
Oh.
great.
Who am I thinking of?
They did go and
Ashton Janty, they drafted him.
yeah, they drafted
Oh.
Genty and they
Okay.
signed Raheem Mostert.
Raheem
Well,
Mostert.
that's another guy who's like I feel like his time is come and gone in the league. They still have
No,
Jacoby
like-
Myers as their best. Oh, they got Brock Bowers though.
Yeah,
Shout
they
out
have Brock
yeah.
Bowers and they have Jacoby Myers, who's also another kind of underrated wide receiver in my opinion. I'm not saying this team is going to be really good, but I think that they're going to be better than they were last year. I think that they have a chance to not finish last in this division. I don't think they can finish
don't agree
higher
with
than
that.
third. I don't think they can finish higher than third, but I don't think it's guaranteed that
Are
they
we allowed
finish
to-
fourth.
Can I ask you who they might finish ahead of?
I think that there's a chance that they could finish ahead of the Chargers.
Well, I mean, I think this is the fourth.
I think the Chiefs and the Broncos are 1-2 in some order. Most likely Chiefs 1, Broncos 2. I think the Chargers most likely are third, but I think the Raiders have an outside shot of finishing ahead of them.
I will say among the teams that I think are going to be cellar dwellers, I think this is the most interesting one, which is not high praise, but like I do think that there's change afoot with the organization, which I think matters.
Yeah.
I just don't know if they right now have the personnel that's ready to compete.
No, and that's why I still think it's most likely that they finish last, but I think that the change at head coach and I think the change at quarterback give this team a fighting chance in a lot of their games.
And what does Tom Brady do? Like, what is his
Signs
influence?
checks.
Right?
Yeah.
Pretty
Like-
much it. That's what does that matter? He's not a GM.
Yep.
All right, well that does it for our season preview for the AFC, and that means that does it for what we've got on this show. Fellas, thank you guys for joining me in this quick, rapid run around the AFC. Hopefully, we'll have a little more time to flesh out topics next week when we start doing more standard shows. But before we wrap this bad boy up, do we have any shout-outs?
Shout out to the College Park Park Run for as always being a great host to DeMatha Cross Country for our preseason tune-up 5K this past Saturday. First race of the year for, in some cases, first race of their career for a lot of our guys. We have a lot of new athletes this year. So first meet of the season is this Friday. So shout out to our guys as they get ready for trials of miles.
Any upperclassmen get lapped by a giggling freshman phenom in the first race of the year? Did that happen?
No, that did not happen.
Oh, okay.
But it's also just an out and back 5K, so not much
I
opportunity
mean,
for
you
that.
know, some of us have talent for running real slow. So, you know.
Evan.
That what you got? Okay.
Yeah.
Shout out to everybody from Buzz Bars Coaster Club who, put on an awesome event out in Chicago this past weekend. It was incredible once again, and I can't wait for the next one.
Alrighty, and my shout-outs, I got two. One is shout-out to Samuel Basayo for becoming the first Oriole under the Michael Elias regime to get an extension as a rookie. 8-year deal for $67 million plus a club option for a 9th year.
How many games did he play before getting an
Four,
extension?
like 3 or 4, yeah. But he clearly wasn't ready. Anyway,
Oh,
and also shout out to Kyle Bradish, who is making his first, or just finished up his first start tonight for the Orioles, coming back from Tommy John. First start he's made in 438 days, so glad to have him back. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. You can get this podcast every week. We will be recording on Tuesdays. You can get it on Apple, Spotify, not Google anymore, apparently. That's just YouTube Music or something weird like that. But if you're there, get it there. You can also reach us at thesportsballers@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter at sportsballers18. And you can follow us individually. Corey is at Corey Puffett. I am at Quagmire67. And Evan is at Evan_Ash13. Next week, we'll get back into a little bit of football news before getting into some of the other topics of sports. And we hope you guys can join us then. Until then, take it easy.